Who knows what is good and what is bad? We often think, and judge is judging every day, that we know exactly what is good and what is bad. We deem something as negative if things are going wrong, and we deem something as positive if things are going our way, the way we were expecting, the way we were hoping them to go. But who knows what is good and what is bad? In Positive Intelligence, Shazad Shamin tells the Stallion story, one of his favorite stories, about the sage perspective, this idea of who knows what is good and what is bad. So the Stallion story goes like this. There was a farmer in China who owned a beautiful stallion, and he went into town one day and won first prize. Not the farmer, the stallion. Brought the stallion back, and his neighbors all came over and they said, wow, congratulations, that's amazing. And the wise sage farmer said to them, who knows what is good and what is bad? 3 days later, some thieves came along and stole the stallion because now it had more value. And the neighbors came along and commiserated with the farmer. And the farmer just threw up his hands and said, who knows what is good and what is bad? 3 days later, the stallion managed to find his way home, and on the way, he picked up 3 wild mares and brought those back to the farm. So now he had a stallion and 3 wild mares. And the neighbors came over to congratulate the farmer again and, share their joy and excitement with him. And he said, who knows what is good and what is bad? 3 days later, the son of the farmer was trying to break in one of the wild mares, and he fell off the mare and broke his leg. And of course, the neighbors came over to commiserate with the farmer, and the farmer said, you guessed it, who knows what is good and what is bad? 3 days later, war broke out in the country, and the army came to conscript all of the young men. And of course, they couldn't conscript this young man because he had a broken leg. So who knows what is good and what is bad? Possibly this whole story led to the young man being saved from going to war and possibly even dying in this war. So we don't know where things are going to go when we have certain negative things happening in our lives. If I had to ask you the question, what is good and what is bad, you'd probably be able to give me the answer in terms of a few things you could list that are good and a few things that you could list that are bad. And let's think in terms of things that have happened in your life, for different circumstances, different challenges you might be going through. You might be going through something right now, or you might have something that you went through a while back. And I want you to think of that. I want you to think of the big challenge, the biggest challenge maybe that you've ever worked through in your life. And I want you to look and see whether that challenge brought you any gifts or opportunities, or whether it was all bad, that the whole outcome for you was bad and it's still bad and you're still working through it, or whether you're actually slip back into your normal happiness level after you had cleared away and sorted through the incident, whatever it was, or maybe you're even happier now than you were before. So what I'm coming to here is a perspective that Shazad Shamin has put forward as the sage perspective, or the wise perspective of looking at life. Who knows what is good and bad, and anything that you could see as bad could be converted into a gift and opportunity. So the sage perspective is that any circumstance can be converted into a gift and opportunity. So let me give you an example from my own life. So back in my 40s, was I in my 40s? Back in my 30s, I was living in Johannesburg in South Africa, and I worked for a company called NutriHealth. I was head of network marketing for NutriHealth, and things were going really well. I had built a great team and I thought everything was going swimmingly. And then suddenly the rug was pulled out from under my feet for factors that were outside of my control. The company had to close down and I had to go and tell our distributors. I was head of network marketing, so I had all these networkers who were earning an income through this opportunity that we had, selling these gorgeous nutritional supplements. And I had to go and tell these networkers that they were no longer going to have an income and that they were no longer going to have access to the products, and their whole business that they'd been building for however many years was now gone. It was a really difficult time because not only did the networkers lose their income and businesses, but also we had to tell the staff that they were no longer coming back to work in a month's time. And so people lost their jobs and had to go find other jobs. And it was a really, really difficult time. It was probably one of the most challenging things that I've ever worked through in my life, mainly because I was in a position of power and I lost that power. So there was a whole lot of things that came along with that, other than the fact that I lost my income as well. Other people lost their income, and I felt the burden of that very strongly because I'm very sensitive and empathic, and it was really hard to see people lose their jobs and people lose their businesses, and I took it really hard emotionally because of that. But also because I was in a position of power, there was also that loss of position. So not only did I lose income, but I lost status, if you want to call it that. So I was no longer the head of network marketing for a company. That wasn't who I was anymore. It was who I had defined myself as for a number of years. And I'd worked really, really hard in that position. I'd traveled the country, I'd traveled to other countries in the world. And it was a loss of who I was or who I saw myself as. And I thought I could get it back like this. And it wasn't that simple. So there was a long journey to actually recover from this whole event that happened. And it took me many years to work through, much longer than one would expect, but it took me many years to work through all of the things I was feeling at the time. I moved back to Cape Town from Johannesburg, where my parents are, my family was, and many of my friends were still here. And it turned out to be an incredible gift coming back to Cape Town. I landed up meeting the man who has now become my husband. He already had a child. I landed up raising her part-time, and we also had a child of our own, and we've had the most wonderful life together in a beautiful home near the beach. And yeah, so the rest is history. I also met a whole lot of new people that I would have never met if I hadn't come back to Cape Town. Lots of new friends. I built a whole new friendship circle. And then obviously having a child, I built another whole new friendship circle with all the mothers of his friends. And so my life is completely different. It's chalk and cheese to what it was in my days in Joburg and my life now. I also have my own business again. And that also wouldn't have come through me staying within the company. So was it something that I asked for? Was it something I would have wished for? I didn't think so at the time. And yet it turned out to be an immense gift and opportunity. So I want you, just in listening to the story, think about anything that has happened in your life that maybe turned into a gift and opportunity that you thought was a bad thing. So many things in our life may start out looking as bad, the challenges that we have, but our life is not going to be without challenges. We are never going to go through a life that doesn't have any challenges. And so the invitation today is to reframe this and to convert any challenges that you may have right now into gifts and opportunities, to reframe them, looking at where you can find any gifts or opportunities. How can you turn this into a positive? How could this have a positive outcome? How could you turn it into a gift? And how could you maybe look at it in a different way, have a different perspective just at looking what is right in front of you right now, the challenge that you may be going through, and to take heart and realize also that this too shall pass. Whatever it is that is happening in your life right now that feels insurmountable, this will pass. That there are seasons for everything, and that these seasons come and go, and that you will conquer. One of the great ways to look at things when things feel really tough is to see yourself as a great adventurer, as a great conqueror, conquering these things and going through on this adventure. See yourself as the hero of your story. If you've ever done my hero's journey, you will know that we are all on hero's journeys. And when you look at it, your life has a number of different hero's journeys that you may have gone on. And when you start to look at your life with that perspective and see yourself as the hero of your story, challenges may look slightly different to how they looked to you before. And you will see yourself as more positive. The other thing is that how you see the world is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So let's take what Henry Ford said, for example. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Whatever you believe to be true is what is true. It's the same as the law of attraction. Your dominant thoughts are what you attract. So if you choose to look at your situation in a positive light, if you choose to look for the gift and opportunity, you can convert it into a gift and opportunity. But if you're choosing to look at it as negative, as bad, then you will have a more negative outcome until you start to look at it differently. So at any moment you get to choose. There's that idea of we're just one thought away. And I always struggled with that idea, but this is the thought. The thought is, how can I turn this around? What is it in me that needs to shift that will turn this around? So the work of positive intelligence is a lot more than just the sage perspective. It is also rewiring your brain from that negative mindset to the positive mindset, from your fear-based brain to love, to curiosity, to laser-focused action, to innovation. So you are changing not just the way you look at things, but how your brain actually functions. Because while we are in our fear-based brain, where our saboteurs are ruling our lives. So if you haven't seen any of my videos about the saboteurs, I'll give you just a little list of them. We have the judge, which I've been talking about today, that judges circumstances and sees them as bad, maybe judges people and sees them as bad, and maybe judges ourselves and sees ourselves as bad. And that is the worst saboteur of all. It's the master saboteur. It's the one that sparks off all of the other saboteurs. But then every one of us has a slight different nuance of how our saboteurs interplay with each other. So one of us might have a stronger victim, for example. Another one might have a stronger avoider. Another one might have a stronger controller. Maybe your strongest saboteur is hyperachiever. Maybe it's pleaser. Maybe it's hyper-rational. Maybe it's the stickler, the perfectionist. Maybe it is the hyper-vigilant. You can have any brand of saboteur that is running the show. And just by listening to this, you may have thought of which one sounds more like you. But there's a little test. I can leave a link below for you to go and take a test where you can see which saboteur is running the show. And once you come into the positive intelligence program, you will learn how to shift those saboteurs, how to weaken those saboteurs, and how to shift into the sage, how to shift into your sage wisdom so that you can get to the point where who knows what is good and what is bad, and you can look for the gift and opportunity in all things. So as you listened to my story earlier, I'd like you to just look at your own life as it is now. Look back first at challenges that you may have had in your life that you thought were really bad, and see what the gifts and opportunities were in those challenges. And then look at a challenge that you're facing right now and see whether you can find a gift and opportunity in that challenge. Maybe you aren't able to look ahead and see what is going to happen, but I just want to place some little doubt in your mind, because maybe it's going to be a good thing, and that is going to surprise you and delight you. So just be open to the fact that everything is working out as it should. Everything is as it should be. And as tough as life may be right now, this is a season, this too shall pass, and things are going to get better. Choose to believe that things are going to get better and that you are going to overcome this. And that when you overcome this, many gifts will come. You will gain lessons. You will grow. And most of the challenges in our life come for us to grow so that we can become who we are today. If you look back, you will see how that has been true, how sometimes the very worst things in life have turned out to be the best things in some weird and wonderful way. And the thing that you're facing right now could be that very thing, the very thing that changes your life in a way you could not imagine right now. Maybe you cannot see the future. I can tell you, if you do need help with this, I am a transformation life coach. I do guide people through the Positive Intelligence program. We're having incredible results with clients getting transformations in the very first week already. So come and have a look at the Positive Intelligence program, and you will see how you can start shifting from that negative mindset into the positive mindset, and also start transforming all of the things that are happening in your life. If you're feeling that life is down on you and it's getting really, really rough out there, now is the time to transform. Now is the time to shift and change and grow and find all the good in what's happening, so that you can see your life going like this, so that you can start self-actualizing and being in the best space you've ever imagined you could be. That is my message to you today, that you can light up your life, light up this world, and feel happy in yourself and gain more joy, more peace, more ease, more fulfillment than you ever could imagine. And that is my wish for you as you thrive in 2025. Bye for now. I'll see you in the next video.